Hello and welcome to another episode of The Brothers Discuss. I am Alex.
I'm Chris.
And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different today in to what we would normally do. This is not covering movies that have recently been released or talking about movie news per se. Today we are ranking all of Christopher Nolan's feature films, and we are joined once again from the Youth Critic podcast. Say hello, Kale and Brandon.
Hey everyone.
Hello, this is Kale.
Perfect. So, if you've noticed this title, it says it is part 2. That is because part 1 is on Kale's show. So if you want to check out... Oh, actually, you know what? In the spirit of Christopher Nolan, what am I talking about? Watch this video first, then go see Kale's episode. Make it a whole like non-linear adventure.
The way Nolan intended, if you will.
Exactly. So, yeah. So go check out Kale's podcast episode that covers our picks from 13 to 8. Here, we are going to talk about the top 7. So I'll get things started real quick. My number 7, I mean, this is kind of the wild card pick right now. I could see this going higher with time, but my number 7 is The Odyssey.
So my number 7, and this may be a hot-ish take or lukewarm take, but my number 7 is The Dark Knight.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so in honor of Chris's number 7, mine is also a Batman movie, but it's Batman Begins.
Because I have good news. This is when Nolan movies start getting good.
Yeah.
Finally, yeah. We've crossed that line until good Nolan.
I mean, I do want to point that out. I'm at this point in the ranking, all of the films are 5 stars for me. So it's really...
Oh, yeah, no. I've been at 5 stars since the last one, so...
Yeah.
My number 7 is Following. I watched it last night. I saw it as in high school. Didn't remember much about it. Saw it last night. Watched it again. I liked it. Wasn't sure how to rank it, so I just put it right in the middle. It's pretty good. It's A for effort. A few Easter eggs. Cost $6,000 to make. Apparently, that's unbelievable because it looks amazing for $6,000. His name, one of the characters' names is Cobb, which is the same, and he's planting evidence, which is what DiCaprio is doing in Inception. And I told you guys this morning, got the Batman logo. I did the DiCaprio pointing GIF, I'm like, oh, there's Batman,
It's not the only film with the Batman logo.
Question is, can Nolan time travel? Was that intentional? No. Yeah, it's good. I mean, I kind of judged it based on my own short films, which that was the only way to really judge it, because it's I don't know how to compare it to these other movies we're talking about. I mean, given the budget, but so yeah, $6,000. It's pretty freaking good. I mean, I would have given him money to make a movie after that. But yeah, I think the actors are actually surprisingly good in this. The two leads, especially. But I'm not sure if we're going to really discuss this a lot because there's not a whole lot to discuss. It's
a 70-minute movie.
Yeah, it's more of a concept he's trying to
Well, I'll say I think Following is just a really great example of seeing the origins of a particular type of filmmaker. I feel like I know in my head what Christopher Nolan's style is, and it's not always easy to put into words. But in my head, I can picture what his films look like, and it doesn't matter whether it's Wally Pfister or Hoyt van Hoytema, who's the cinematographer, or in this where it's Nolan is the cinematographer on Following. But there's a particular type of style to his films, like the way they're presented, the way that they're written, or the way that they're shot. And it's present here. You can tell that this is a young man who just wants to make a film and has this interesting style. So that's part of why I really like this film. I think I've watched this 5 times now over the years. It's really inspiring to watching this film, because I think this should be something that gives young filmmakers the courage to go out there and shoot something that they want to make. There are those types of filmmakers that have this sort of early work. We mentioned Raimi earlier. He's a good example of this. Spielberg is a good example of that as well. These filmmakers who go out there and shoot something interesting. And even though this technically fits as a film due to the runtime, it's shot over several weekends, over several months. And you can just tell that there's a lot of heart put into Chris Nolan before he's the filmmaker that we know today. But the elements of what would make him so unique and so endearing to me are very present in his first film. So I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of that. To me, it's not, you see Nolan's growth as a filmmaker each movie past this. I think that's just plain and simply why I had this rated as my lowest. I still like it. I like all of his movies. But you just see his growth from movie to movie. And what I do love about Following, kind of what you were saying, was that like it's not really the story, it's just how you tell it. And for young filmmakers, that is a very inspiring thing. That like that's something I would see in film school a lot. Is just um, the way I would go about shooting projects and all that. It's just I always had that sort of like editing mindset of like, how do I want to tell this? How do I want to convey this? So it's that is where like Falling kind of stands in my heart. It's not the deepest thing, but like for young filmmakers, it is something I'd recommend for everyone.
Yeah, and for me, I had Following lower on my list, and and honestly, it just was one of those things where I was like, I started the list as a joke. Like when I made the first list ranking, was I just went from Following up, like Following like was my least favorite, and then The Odyssey was my favorite, just because I'm like, yeah, it just gets better. I'm sorry. But no, I mean, but then I started to switch things around and started to play with it. And but no, I mean, Following is like a really good like it's a really good like just like calling card for Nolan, because it is him playing with structure and time. Like, you know, everything's kind of like the structure is very fragmented, but also like, you know, we're following. I will say this, like for Nolan, all of his like characters from like from this author here to Interstellar, the other than Cobb or other than Cooper, excuse me, in Interstellar, all of his characters are like unlikable people, or they're like very flawed individuals. You know, from like this to Interstellar, it's really in like the least flawed person is like a guy who dresses up as a bat. So like I feel like that's saying something. Like Nolan really is like in love with like the flawed character, because this like supposed author like who is like romanticizing this like, you know, pickpocketer, and then like getting caught up in the middle of like this mistress, you know, like you can tell like this is, you know, an idea like he really kind of loves it, like this noir ish ideas and stuff, and you can just like feel like the passion behind it. And also it's one of those thematic things that like, if you did anyone see Doodlebug, his like
I
short
did
film?
actually, yes.
I was thinking about like, because Doodlebug is very thematically similar to this, where it's like you eventually like if you chase the thing long enough, you'll become the ultimate thing. You'll become the criminal, or you'll become the thing you're also like you just have like the thing you're chasing is cyclical, basically.
Sure.
And by the end of the movie, like this author is framed as, you know, a murderer, like, and which is kind of fitting because I mean he's kind of a pervert, and like he's super ultra like fascinated with crime.
Yeah. Well, I mean, essentially the first scene in the film is the final scene in the film as well, like where the lead character, Jeremy Theobald, who's actually in a few other of Nolan's films. It's very funny when you see him show up in Tenet, because
He's
he's
kind of
so
like
much
our Bruce
older.
Campbell of the Nolan
Yeah.
verse.
Yeah, but he's like, I didn't recognize him because he looked so much older by that by that point. But yeah, he's talking to once again John Nolan. He's playing like a detective, and we kind of get the story laid out to us at the beginning, and then the resolution at the end in the same scene that's just split into parts throughout the film. But it separates the timeline stuff really well, and quite frankly in a really clear manner, due to the lead character changing his appearance, like cutting his hair, like shaving his beard and dressing differently. It's done in such a straightforward manner that when it comes to the nonlinear storytelling that Nolan does use a fair amount, it's very easy to follow here. Like this is the most straightforward version of that to me. Like I think I was a little confused when I first watched like Batman Begins, because I was young and I didn't quite have that mindset in place that this was going to be told a little bit out of order in terms of like flashbacks taking up large parts of the film. Whereas here, I think it's very straightforward. I mean, now granted, I did watch this for the first time when I was an adult, or I suppose, or my late teens. So there's that.
Yeah, same here. I was in college, so, and now I own the Criterion, so, or the Criterion Blu-ray for Following. So
It's funny, as I watched in high school, I should have watched it again in college. I don't know why I did, because it would have been a good inspiration for the short films we were making. Because like it was really cheap, and the production value was actually very good. And it was kind of,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I think the first 2 minute narration does have like kind of a pretentious film student kind of feel to it. But then the dialogue is really good. Like the first 2 minutes I was a little worried there rewatching it. But as soon as Cobb comes in, they start talking. It's like, oh wow, this is actually really good dialogue. And I was surprised. But
So, my number 6 is Oppenheimer.
My number 6 is The Odyssey.
My number 6 is Interstellar.
My number 6 is The Prestige.
Ooh, okay. You got to talk about this one first. I was about to jump into it, but you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. Yeah. I have some issues with it, but I do like it a lot. I'd say it's very historically authentic. Accurate is not the right word because what they're talking about is not. You can't really be accurate with this, given the themes, especially near the end. The authenticity comes from the fact that these magic shows they're doing this is exactly how they went in the 19th century Victorian society. So the kind of the gossip and the crowds and the creativity and the thought process, all true. That's all real. Now when Tesla walks in, okay, that's when it gets like, okay, but that's fine. I mean, it's magic and that's cool that they include that. But yeah, I say in terms of a historical film, it's very, very authentic. I like that about it. 2 great performances. So again, this is like, objectively speaking, it's a very good thing after good thing, mostly good dialogue in the beginning. My issues with it near the end, and this is something where I'm interested to hear you guys' opinion on. I think it would have been a better twist if Christian Bale had used the machine to make a copy of himself, and that's his copy he's working with. I think it's his twin. That seems to be the agreement online. It's just a twin brother. I would prefer the copy. It's a little weird if he just sent to Tesla and it's his twin, because what are the odds that Tesla would have a machine that copies somebody? That's one angle to it. The other thing I was going to ask you guys about, besides that question, is Hugh Jackman committing suicide every performance? Because it seems like, I thought when I first saw the movie, I was rewatching it, remembering the ending, I thought he was killing his copy every time and disposing of him. But it seemed like he was killing himself in the last 20 minutes when it was doing the show.
I'm pretty certain that he has a line where he's like unsure of like who he truly is at this point,
Okay.
because he's been doing it so many times. I'm pretty certain.
Yeah.
But The Prestige is, I mean, it's the film for me that kind of made me realize like what a good film actually was. Like as much as I liked a film like Batman Begins, like the types of films that I would go see in theaters or talk about with my friends weren't smaller dramas or thrillers like The Prestige. And when I finally did discover this film, like it was a few years after it came out, I kept thinking about it for days. Like it's the feeling that you have when you've seen something great and you can't get it out of your mind. So that's where it sort of falls in my love of film, like, which is a very, very important place. Like this is a film I love introducing to people and seeing their reactions. I mean, spoilers for the end of the film. I mean, but when the person that catches the ball at the end after shooting Angier, Hugh Jackman's character, is Borden, like we see Christian Bale, who was just hung, and you have the moment where you're like, wait, what am I even seeing here? And yeah, a twin gets said straight away and everything gets explained. Like it's just so much fun watching the film now, because I focus so much on both Christian Bale's in one scene. Like I really focus in on watching, like with all the makeup on. It's like, is it clear that that's Christian Bale? Like, was I stupid when I first saw this as a teenager and didn't bother to notice that sort of thing? Because like now when you go into a film that you're anticipating, you tend to know a lot of the famous actors that are in it. So when there's a character that's throughout the film and you have no idea who's playing him, like I mean, I really love the score in the film, which is done by David Julian, who also did the scores for Following and Memento and Insomnia. And then Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard did the score for Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. And then essentially he started working with Zimmer after that. Yeah, I love the score. Like I love how high-pitched the score gets towards the very end of the film. Like this is a great example of the flashbacks that Nolan does in his films. Like those quick shots, like there's a really moving moment where Angier is essentially possibly drowning himself because he has lost his wife in a drowning accident, and we get the shot of like what's her name, Piper Perabo, who plays Julia. Like she's laying there or floating there in the water, and then she moves her head suddenly, and it's like that's what stops him. Like little moments like that where I'm just like, oh, that's perfect. Like little editing moments like that are just like so good. And I think it's now been said, and I didn't realize this. This is technically Nolan's first use of the IMAX camera in a film. The shot of Christian Bale to, I believe, cut off his fingers so that both Bordens appear the same. I believe that was shot with an IMAX camera. That was like a test before
Interesting.
he did The Dark Knight, where he shot big action sequences. But yeah, all the performances are fantastic. David Bowie is really good in this small role, and I mean, all these fantastic actors. It's what brought Rebecca Hall to Hollywood, essentially, and like there's Andy Serkis, and like there's so many great people in the film, and it's one of Christian Bale's best pieces of work, and it probably is Hugh Jackman's. And I love Michael Caine's performance. Like, I mean, he plays into like a lot of his earlier work that made him famous playing gangsters and things like that. I mean, not that he is exactly that in this, but he has that little bit of an edge. And again, in terms of Hugh Jackman, I mean, his work in the film is, I mean, it's funny. I mean, I'm looking at the cast right now on Wikipedia. It says Lord Cowdlow, which is true. That is who he really is. But as Angier, the great Dante, spoiler. I mean, we've been saying two Christian Bales the whole time, but to me, it's when Jackman also plays the drunk that they find to be the double of Angier, where he's so funny as he's like, because he's got the beard initially, and he's got like fake teeth in and things like that, but then when he has that scene with Christian Bale talking to him, he's found him in the bar, and he says that he's a fellow magician, and he goes, very good, with like beer hanging in his mouth. Like he's so funny in those moments.
Okay, so I have this very low on my list, and I don't really have like a good reason to have it so low. I just don't vibe with it. Like I just don't like it. It's a personal thing. I just like you guys. I agree completely. I even love like David Bowie as Tesla. That is such a like genius casting, and he's so good in the movie. But I don't know. Like this is the one Nolan movie where I'm kind of just like, yeah, I get it. It's about like if because really the movie kind of goes to it's about like who's got it, like who's got the actual sauce and who doesn't. And it's so very clear that it's Bale that has the sauce because he has his twin brother. Like he can pull off like the trick, and it's ultimately about Hugh Jackman, trying to get the sauce, through whatever means necessary, through science, through magic, whatever it is. And by doing like I understand all of what's happening in the movie, and I think it is solid. I think it's good. This is the one I just I just like I vibe the least with it. This and Insomnia, I vibe the least with it.
That's fair.
Anyway, but that's my take on it. Anyone else?
I don't have too much to say about it, but I think in Nolan's filmography, like I mentioned Oppenheimer, it's like I could point to that being his best film, and I think this is just like right up there at that same level where it's just I just love like I don't have too much to say. It's just kind of the opposite of your feeling, Kayla. It's just like I completely vibe with this movie. I'm like just so into it from start to finish. Every time I rewatch it, like I'm hooked. I just love picking up on all these little things and little details, and like just it's. Are you watching closely? And like yes, yes, I am. It's so good.
And that's totally fair. Like like I said, it's just one of those. I don't know why I can't just vibe with it. Like I want, like it's a premise that I would love. Like it's a dueling magicians, like Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. Like you would think that's like I mean, you guys think it's awesome, but like for some reason, just Nolan. But for some reason, Nolan just kind of it's so dour that it isn't as fun as it should be. For me.
I think it's super fun to watch because I mean Nolan and magic, it's like a filmmaking in general is kind of like a magic show, isn't it? Theatricality. And Nolan I think just exploits that so well in this. Yeah, I vibe with this movie. I'm not even gonna tell you where I have it right now. We'll get to it later.
Yeah, solid movie. The ending was just very odd to me because there were two questions I had that
Sure. I guess we can move on now. We are now officially in the top 5. My number 5 is Memento. I think, well, I'll just say this real quick. I think this is a perfect film. I will say, though, I had this a little higher on my list before, but it got bumped down one to put something else above. So that's another one of my adjustments that I made that I will point out. So that's my number 5.
My number 5 is Batman Begins.
My number 5 is Dunkirk.
And my number 5 is Insomnia. Because boy, did I vibe with
right.
this movie. I was
Now this I need to hear.
No, it's really good. I mean, like,
Yeah, I'm gonna fall asleep here.
it's like Nolan. It's like he's on a leash by the studio, and it's like this is great. It's like this is just making a normal movie. I love it. Al Pacino, Robin Williams, duel. It's great stuff. No, I mean, I have it like 4 stars on Letterboxd. I hadn't seen it in a long time. I watched it over the weekend. Yeah. I mean, I guess my thing is that it's like an old school movie. It's like it felt like it was from the 90s. Like not in a bad way, because 90s is great. It's a great decade for movies, but it's very much just a murder mystery that gets turned into a blackmail story, and then at the end of it, it's like, oh, it's really about, planting evidence. Like, what is the moral consequences of that? A lot of the theme of tonight's kind of planting evidence. Actually, I just realized that it's like, Cobb does it in Inception. The Cobb does it in Following, and this character does it. Not to spoil it, but yeah. I mean, so you guys didn't like Insomnia?
Well, I had Insomnia at I had it at number 12 on my list. Insomnia might be the Nolan film I think I've seen the least amount of times, to be honest. In rewatching all of the films on the build up to this, I really, really enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed it, but it was, for whatever reason, it was like this time I was like, okay, I get it now. Like, this is a really, really good crime drama. It's the one film in his filmography that he didn't write. So there are elements of that are like very crystal clear in the story, but there are filmmaking techniques that he uses in it. The editing where he will put in these random brief seconds of footage where you don't totally know the context of what it is. I like those moments because those appear in Memento and Batman Begins and The Prestige onwards, like all around that time. So it's neat seeing his filmmaking techniques on display there, or storytelling techniques. And I think this is a great Pacino performance, and I think Robin Williams is fantastic in it as well. Like, this is in that period where he was doing some more dramatic work. So yeah, I think Insomnia is a really, really strong film, and I would like to watch the Norwegian original film, because this is a remake of a Norwegian film. But I also think this film is quality.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Alex here. I think we're just kind of on opposite ends, Brandon, where it's like you like this because it's a restricted Nolan, and we like unhinged Nolan. So I mean, I got nothing like major against it. Like, for what it's worth, I think it's a solid crime story. And if there's one genre I want to see Nolan tackle again, I think it's this. Now, like, seeing how his filmography has just progressed and how he's grown as a filmmaker, I think he'd make a really great like crime drama now, and I'm ready for it. I want that to be his next movie, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I like the performances, I like the premise, and it's all around solid. It's just not his most groundbreaking thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of like how I feel about it. It's not like a bad movie. And in fact, I really like Al Pacino's performance. I love the scene in the fog, like where you can't really see, who, like, you can't see the killer. You can't see, like, it's a truly suspenseful moment. And when he kills, like, his partner, it's like this, oh shit moment. Like, I think Nolan is like playing it objectively as like it was an accident, but because of the circumstances surrounding it, it's like, oh, this is actually a really good like way to kick the plot off of, like, how does this person, because now it's kind of like a Breaking Bad, like a less funny version of Breaking Bad. Like, it's like, now how does this person navigate like not being charged with a crime? And ultimately you realize he just got to do it. He's just got to, he just got to accept the consequences of, killing someone or he has to accept the consequence, and that's kind of like the theme of like a lot of like Nolan's or later work is like accepting the consequences of your crimes or your sins. And so I was kind of happy to see like he's already thinking about this like already with Insomnia, and now he's going to implement it later in Oppenheimer and the Odyssey. So no, I mean I like this movie just fine. It's just I it's just like as you stated, Chris. Like we like unhinged Chris Nolan, and this is very much like Nolan. Even though Nolan has gone on to say like he loves the original movie, he wanted to make this he wanted to remake this for a U.S. audience, like already like back in the late '90s when he saw it. But this feels like Nolan being like, I'm going to do this so I can do Batman or
Yeah.
Troy, or I'm going to do this so I can prove that to a studio that I can do a movie on a budget.
Exactly, like which I think it's interesting because it's his first studio film made under Warner Brothers, which leads to the Batman Begins offer and things like that. Like when you see premieres or red carpets for Memento, and he's being asked about the making of Insomnia on the red carpet for Memento because like he started making that when the film finally got released in terms of Memento. It's interesting just looking at that in the timeline of Christopher Nolan's career. Because there are several actors in it that we see in future films. Like obviously, I mean, I guess notably, Pacino was the one who awarded Oppenheimer the Best Picture Oscar, which he did in very odd fashion. My eyes see Oppenheimer, and you know what? Looking back on this with hindsight, I truly believe he was pulling a deep cut and reprising that character because he did look sleep deprived. So.
So I sent you guys a meme, or not a meme, but it was like a graph, or it was like Christopher Nolan connective tissue, where it was like the 10 tropes in his movies and which movies had the most of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that Inception has all of them. My 13th ranked. Insomnia has only 4, and it's the least Nolan-esque of his movies. So it has the least number of tropes. Probably why I like it so much. I don't like Nolan's bombastic style. What's funny, though, I was thinking about this, though. I think this is the equivalent of Jackie Brown with Tarantino's movies. It's the least Tarantino-esque out of his filmography. And I don't watch that one very much. I kind of feel the same way about Jackie Brown as you guys feel about this one. I love unhinged Tarantino. So that's kind of the equivalent. Like, I love his style of filmmaking, his newer movies. Jackie Brown's okay. It's good, but it's not something I go back to a lot. So I guess that kind of makes sense why you guys wouldn't really be on board for this one as much.
Oh yeah, totally. I guess we can move on to our number 4. So my number 4 is The Dark Knight. So yes, I did have Memento over The Dark Knight when I initially made this list. And again, I watched The Dark Knight. I was like, nope, it's got to go one higher. So the personal attachment to The Dark Knight is very big for me in terms of personal favorites. So it's my number 4.
My number 4, actually very similar story to you. My number 4 is actually Memento, and I did have it higher on the list as well. I forget what I had above it, and then I started rewatching. I was like, I can't do it, but I love Memento so much. So we'll talk about that in a second.
Oh yeah, we'll get to it.
My number 4 is Inception.
Okay.
Yeah, my number 4 is Batman Begins.
All right.
Okay, give us your spill.
Oh, I don't know if I have a spiel. I mean, like, it's one of those that I think we talked about it fairly recently for the DC movies. In terms of a Nolan movie, like, not talking about it in terms of a superhero movie, but as a Nolan movie, I mean, it's impressive that he was given a blockbuster that early because this was right after Insomnia, I think. Yeah, nothing between that. Yeah, it does a pretty good job with it. I'd say at that point it was the most mature superhero movie in terms of like the seriousness of it, and he kind of established a new tone for superhero movies that was kind of bulldozed over with Marvel, the MCU 5 years later. But oh well, it would be nice if superhero movies kind of retained this like the style that this one had and kind of the serious tone. But yeah, I think that it's a solid Nolan movie. I don't think that the ending. See, the thing with Nolan is that a lot of the endings to his movies get a bit convoluted. This is just the right amount, I felt like, because you have like the villain with the evil plot. You have even a tower. Like a lot of superhero movies have towers at the end. You have the tower. I mean, you have but it's not that convoluted. It's pretty straightforward, and everything makes sense, and it's very tight in terms of the script. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
Well, I mean, this plays into that time. This is the time period where I'm becoming like a big film fan, and like I said with The Prestige, Batman Begins changed how I viewed Batman movies, and builds the anticipation of The Dark Knight and everything as well. It's fantastic rewatching the films. Like these films have a lot more of a personal attachment to me personally, but I love Batman Begins. I don't even know where to start. Like I love how they just dove into the origins of Bruce Wayne. I like the Ra's al Ghul reveal. I love the use of Scarecrow. I mean, this starts Scarecrow being one of my favorite comic book villains, period. Just to, you know, just to tie this into other things in my life. And it's Christian Bale's performance where I think he's very funny at times throughout the film, where I don't know if he gets as much in the other Batman films, but like lines like, well, at least they gave us a discount, or at least we'll have spares. Like those moments are quite funny. Damn good television. Nice coat. See, look at all the funny jokes in the Sourpuss Christopher Nolan movie. It handles some of the comedic, campier aspects of Batman, but also incorporates it into this grittier crime drama. And I just appreciate that a lot. And I love how Gotham looks in the film. I love that they built all these sets. I mean, obviously that goes away in the next two films to a large degree, but the creation of the Batcave and having the Tumbler be the Batmobile, like all of these elements that they present in the film, which are classic Batman elements, but they incorporate them in this unique way that then follows through in other Batman comics or adaptations past that. I mean, Batman Begins helps start the trend of the gritty reboot, which generally is a misunderstanding of why Batman Begins was successful, but it brings all these things to the table in a way that is done really well and then attempted in other films not as successfully.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say or too much to add on to that. I think it, as it stands, it's just a really, really solid Batman film. Um, and like it's just whenever I think of a Batman movie, this is usually the first one that pops up. I think it. I would probably rank it as one of, if not my favorite Batman movie of like all live action animation. Like it's just that solid. It's that tight. I just love seeing the growth of a young Batman, and like I just think it's really great. I don't have too much to say.
For me, as a massive Batman fan, like almost in the same way that Alex is a huge Spider-Man fan. I mean, I genuinely do appreciate this movie, and I still remember watching this movie at 11 years old and just being scared out of my wits at all the Scarecrow stuff.
Sure.
But I don't like. This is a movie that like it just is so good. All of it, like it feels like Nolan finally kind of, and he's working with another screenwriter, David S. Goyer. Like he finally gets a good script out of David S. Goyer. Like he's the one that can kind of like, it's almost like a Zorkin Fincher collaboration. Like it's like he can bring something good out of, they just marry each other so much because Goyer is so good at like creating, plot and structure. And then Nolan's really good sometimes with dialogue and, so I don't know. Like, I just feel like this is like really good. Like everything just kind of works. There is a little bit too much of like a slow build of like of the League of Shadows kind of thing. But other than that, like this is a cool movie. Like this is a good movie. Like I genuinely like this. I love how they do Scarecrow. Because everyone like thinks like Nolan's too serious to do like Mr. Freeze or any of these like far out villains, and I'm like, I mean, he does Scarecrow pretty well. Like, just give them like like LSD or something, and fear toxins, and then just have like grotesque body horror imagery. So like, yeah, no, I like this a lot.
Yeah, just going back real quick to the whole like comic book thing, where it's like, it's funny, like what becomes almost continuity in the comics because of movies. I mean, like we've talked about this plenty of times. But Marvel had a very bad habit of doing that. Like Bullseye has a bullseye scar on his head because of the Daredevil movie, just as a wacky example of this. But it's funny when you take something very good like Batman Begins, which I think is the best telling of Bruce Wayne's origin story. You incorporate elements of that into the comics, and it's like you're taking something that's good and having that influence your source material, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But it's funny how Chris Nolan looks at some of this stuff and goes, well, I can't really have a bat fly through the window and land and have Bruce go, yes, father, I will be a bat. Like, you can't really have that. But it's like, oh, but he's afraid of bats because he fell into the thing that would eventually lead him to the Batcave. Like, that makes total sense. You know, they don't go and see a Zorro movie. They go to see an
Yeah.
opera that has bat creatures appearing in it, which scares him and makes them leave. Like, you take these elements from the comics that don't necessarily work in a more modern story, and then you change them a little bit, and yeah, you have something that really works. And I think a lot about the moment where Bruce Wayne is kind of walking towards Joe Chill after the court case and he's getting ready to shoot him. It's such an important moment to me watching the character, because had he shot Joe Chill right then and there, like, this is a totally different story. And I love that. Like, if that person that killed Joe Chill had just been like a few seconds later, like, we'd be watching a different movie from there. Like, little moments like that, like, that changed the course of a character's life. And I mean, I didn't bring this up when at the time when me and Chris were talking about the drama a few months ago, and decisions that are made about Zendaya's character, whether she should be viewed as evil or not. But it's funny how Bruce Wayne, Batman, like the superhero that we all love, kind of faces a similar situation, and that not happening and getting woken up by like up a little bit takes him on a totally different path, where at the end of his story, like, there's a statue of him because he saved Gotham City. And I think watching the trilogy as a whole is a great deal of fun, and I think it flows together very, very nicely. But Batman Begins is such a great starting point to that story and gives so much more depth to the character of Bruce Wayne than we had ever seen on the big screen before. And there's always the talk of like past Batman films where usually the villains are the most exciting parts of a Batman movie. And I mean, like, you could say the same for like Joker and Bane to an extent, but it's not, and it's not like Ra's al Ghul or Scarecrow aren't really interesting characters in this film, because they are. But Bruce Wayne in this story is so interesting, and that to me is the biggest victory that the film has, because now we view casting Bruce Wayne in such a way and where someone like Robert Pattinson, I mean, he still gets referred to as the Twilight guy, but now someone can be cast as Bruce Wayne that's a little bit more of an interesting choice, and something like a Batman Begins helps take you to that point.
Well, before we move on, let me caveat with what you're saying. Like, the
Sure.
thing about Batman casting is it's always been like the person you least expect. Like, if it wasn't, Michael Keaton, it was, then Christian Bale. Like, it's only, and in fact, the ones you think are the most obvious, like George Clooney, are the ones where it doesn't work out. Like, everyone, because, like, I mean, people lambasted Ben Affleck, people lambasted, Robert Pattinson, but we're all like, no, fuck, they were fucking good. Like, it's crazy how, like, sometimes you just have to have an actor just be an actor.
And sure.
Let them do it, and let them embody and bring their own interpretation to that character. So it didn't necessarily start with Christian Bale, but I think Christian Bale's the one that was like, oh yeah, it has to be someone that we're not expecting.
Fair enough. All right, I guess we can move on to number 3. My number 3 is Inception.
My number 3 is Oppenheimer.
Okay. My number 3 is The Odyssey.
And my number 3 is The Odyssey too. I see this as being like the curse was broken and finally no one's making a movie I like again, because it's been since The Dark Knight. That was the last movie I liked by him, The Dark Knight. It was that long ago.
Wow, that long?
Yeah, that long. In between that, there's not a single one I enjoyed watching. It was like, nah.
Well, to be fair, it's been almost 20 years since The Dark Knight, so, it's been an odyssey for you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, 18 years. Yeah, the Bronze Age movie gets the bronze medal. That's what. Yeah, my info was. Third place. Yeah. So I guess I'll talk about this since you guys aren't going to talk about it for that long since you're reviewing it.
Yeah, go for it.
The funny thing is, I actually am not a big fan of mythology. Really, I don't really care much about it. Not a big Nolan fan too, but I liked his interpretation of this. I think he he spun like he twisted the things he needed to twist to make it seem more modern and to kind of connect the story with the Iliad and the Trojan War. Because I saw Troy like 2 or 3 months ago, and it was all right. You know, it was okay. I was wondering which parts they were going to take into put into this, and I think he did just the right scenes, the right amount of the Trojan War, which was really just the ending. But yeah, the nonlinear structure works really well in this. The modern interpretation really works for this because I remember reading this in high school, and the Cyclops scene was neat, but he like starts telling him riddles, and like it's kind of silly. Like he had to make it scary, and that's what he did. It's like I think the islands don't work in the poem because they're a bit random, but it works great in this because it's almost like a horror film. Like each island gets kind of not scarier, but each island's scary in its own way, you know. And it's a different challenge each time. So, but yeah, I think it's really really good. No huge criticisms really. Zendaya's character didn't really work for me, but that's really the only thing. It's very minimal. And a few spots are a bit slow here and there, but that's really it, like the beginning. But it's really good.
Right. Well, I mean, I think this is definitely the closest Nolan has gotten to making a horror film. And I know he's talked about that recently, that and you know what? I like to see him do something like a good Jack the Ripper movie or something like that. And you know what? I say go for it, man. But yeah, as we've alluded to, we're not going to do a full in-depth discussion of the Odyssey in this particular episode because we're saving that for our own respective shows. So yeah, our next normal episode will be the Odyssey will be our main event. So look forward to that, folks. But for right now, what I will say is see this on the biggest and loudest screen you possibly can.
I will also echo Alex's thoughts. You know, please just see it in the movie theater. I don't even care if you can see it in IMAX 70 anymore. Like, just see it in the theater. Like, it is so impressive, like, what Nolan has given us. Like, I feel like this and Dune are, like, you know, the last, like, hurrahs of filmmaking. Like, we're really at the pinnacle of, like, what we can do for, like, realistic filmmaking or, like, you know, actual, like, grounded filmmaking in a way. So no, I also suggest watching it, and then for my podcast, we will do the Odyssey review right after these episodes come out. So yes. Anyway, Chris, do you have any other comments before we move on?
Again, nothing too much because we're saving all the good stuff for later. But yeah, this very great. Go see it. Like you said, just see it in a theater. Try to see it in IMAX, but just see it.
Exactly.
One last thing, did you guys know about the like manufactured outrage on Twitter over the lead up to this and like what that was all about? Because that was weird to me. I'm still on Twitter because it's so entertaining. It's like it's like a bar fight that never ends. And I'm just sitting back watching it, entertained.
Sounds like Stockholm syndrome right there.
Yeah. Okay, there's a twist with this though. So what's funny about this is like the right wingers were complaining about a whole bunch of stuff, and they hadn't even seen the movie yet. And one of the things they were complaining about was the recent translation he was basing it on by Emily Wilson. They were picking paragraphs that were kind of less vibrant than the previous translation. So I kind of understood that, but I'm like, well, is it the whole thing like that? And who knows? I'm not going to read it. The twist is at the end of it all is that Emily Wilson didn't like the movie. The professional, the scholar who knows Odyssey the best and who translated it the last time, her criticism was exactly what they were critiquing about it. Like Odysseus isn't tough enough. It's not like victory isn't really celebrated. It's like she was basically making the same complaints they were making about the movie leading up to it. So then I was really confused. I'm like, wait, what the hell is going on? Like, it was just a weird like, I don't know, like they just want something to be mad about. I think that's what it comes down to. But they must not have read the introduction to her book. Anyway, I'm not big into mythology, so I don't know what the complaints were. Yeah.
I'll save my thoughts on it for my show, but if they
Sure.
but if Alex and Chris want to say anything about it, like go off, Kings.
I think I might save that for our own show as well. So not to cop out or anything, but we're gonna save that. We gotta save some stuff for the full discussion, man.
Yeah.
2 details I want to add in.
Oh, sure.
Matt Damon's Boston accent comes in just a little bit when he says, "I'm ready to leave this fucking beach." Like that was kind of like a very brief moment there. It was like the way he says it, the delivery made me chuckle a little bit.
I mean, John Barenthal still talks like he's from Queens or something. So
Yeah, yeah, that was
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
The other funny thing is Nolan is known for not having very many jokes in his movies. There was one moment near the end where he could have had a Marvel quip where it was John Leguizamo. He could have said, "Did he win? Like, who won the battle?" Like, and he says something like that. And both times I've seen this twice in the theater. Both times people have kind of chuckled a little bit, but it's not a quip though. Like, I appreciate that Nolan didn't go for the Marvel quip because it's very tempting when the whole fight scene's over to have someone go, "Who won?" You know, that's a very Marvel thing to do, and he didn't. He doesn't do that, so I'm glad that that's like
Mm.
I mean, I kind of think of it as like a minor quip, but it's
very
a
much.
good like tension reliever. It's not like but it's a good tension reliever because you just seen like 60 men just get brutally murdered, you know. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, they were rightfully murdered, but you know, it's you kind of, but it's like good, like emotional, like, yeah, no, yeah. Anyway, what, Alex, number two?
Number 2. Okay, here we go. My number 2 is indeed Batman Begins.
My number 2 is The Prestige.
My number 2 is Oppenheimer.
I had a hard time deciding about this. I've gone back and forth with 1 and 2. I got to go with Memento being 2.
Okay.
It almost was 1, but I got to go with 2. Yeah. Yeah, I love this movie. Yeah, this is the third time I've seen it, I think. And it works really well, I feel like. Has a lot of star power for being a movie that has like really cheap locations, which is really interesting to me. Because think about the star power of this. Guy Pearce was in LA Confidential. Carrie Moss and Joe Pantoliano were both in The Matrix, so it has 3 stars in it. But the locations are just so simple and basic and just shitty too. Like not shitty in a bad way, but like just a worn down, well, and tattoo parlor and whatnot. And just it's the most like he makes use of it so well. The structure of the movie does make sense, especially if you see the movie in order. There's a YouTube video that puts it in order, and it's tight. I mean, there's nothing in it that doesn't make sense really if you watch it in order. Like what everyone else is doing, like Carrie Ann Moss and Joe Pantoliano, what they're choosing to do makes sense given the story, what he's doing. The ambiguity at the end is genius. I feel like where you're not sure if he's if Joe Pantoliano is trying to like gaslight him into thinking that he may have killed his wife.
Mhm.
That's the like question mark at the end that it's up to interpretation. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
See, there's really no flaws to this movie. I feel like it's almost his best movie.
Yeah, that's interesting because I mean, until you mentioned that, I was going to say I would love to watch a piece together chronologically edit of the film. Not because I think it would work better that way. I just think it would be interesting to watch the events of the film unfold like that because we're technically watching this character over like what 2 days or something like that. Like, I mean, I think Memento is kind of a perfect film. Like when you realize that you're watching events happening out of order, well, not out of order, in reverse order, essentially. I mean, we see one of the main characters of the film killed in the first 2 minutes of the movie. But, you brought up the stars of the movie. I mean, Guy Pearce was starting to make a name for himself in Hollywood at the time, but, he's a bigger star now, and he's like an Oscar nominee and things like that. I mean, he's viewed as a bigger star today than he was when something like Memento came out. I mean, it debuted at the Venice Film Festival in September of 2000. Then it was at Sundance in January 2001, and then got its wide release in March of 2001. So it took a decent amount of time before it finally got released. And I mean, if I'm ranking films from the year 2000, it's incredibly high on that list, but it technically got its theatrical release in 2001.
Yeah.
I mean, the moment in the film that I really love, we see Carrie Ann Moss walking into her house and she's bruised and bloody and she says that Dodd beat the shit out of her. And then in the next scene, we see what happened before that, which is that she tricked Leonard to essentially punch her in the face after she was saying like terrible things about his dead wife. And the moment where she's like sitting in her car because she's collected all the pens in her house and he can't write down what happened. Like she's just sort of sitting there watching him. Like it's interesting because I wonder if I viewed that character, the Carrie Ann Moss character, Natalie, differently if I was watching the film in chronological order, because you really don't like her as we continue to watch the film and as we're seeing the events prior to that event happening. But if you think about the very first scene that you see her in, which is of course the last thing that she does with Leonard, she does actually help him and gives him the John G information that he was looking for. So she actually does help him in the end. Like, we just don't understand at the time that he's tricked himself, but she actually does do the right thing by Leonard in a kind of plain sense of the term. So yeah, that's a moment in the film that I really, really love. And yeah, I think Memento is excellent.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. It's the way it's written, like it's so tight, just it's just got such a unique structure for Nolan. It's such a great staple for this being so early on in his career. He took it's like he took notes of like everything that worked about following structure and then just actually made a really unique movie around that like just it keeps you guessing, and like it's so well done, and the how each scene sort of has like a checkpoint. So when you circle back to the scene prior or the scene that takes place prior, but it's really it's so great. And the ending of it, like there are a few movies where I rewatch them and it feels like I'm watching it for the first time. And Memento is one of those movies where it's like it just works that well as an experience. And that's why I really wanted to put it higher on my list, but like I had to settle for, I think it was 4. But like it's such an amazing movie for considering how early it is in his career.
So you're the thing about all of my top 10, like it's all very interchangeable. Like I kind of give them all about 4.5 to 5 stars each. So I agree with everything y'all are saying, but I think for me, Memento, it's still in that kind of like following thing where it's like you're seeing Nolan still learn how to be a filmmaker in real time and how to like incorporate humor, how to incorporate, mystery and intrigue. And I mean, when you see like Guy Pearce, like just all tatted up, in Sharpie to try and remember, I mean, such an iconic image. So like how could you not try to sell the movie off of that? Like it's such, this idea of like, you have a guy with short-term memory loss. The only way he can remember, and he's solving a mystery. He's solving the death of his wife. Like it's such a great it's just a great premise. And also I kind of like that Nolan started, what he'll pay off later with Oppenheimer, with like the black and white is supposed to be like, the truth, and then both in Oppenheimer and Memento. But even that is kind of distorted, in real time. But even that's kind of distorted. And then what we see, in color is, from Leonard's point of view, or what he can piece together what happened. So I don't know. Like I like this a lot. Like this is it's a good movie. No, it's just a good movie. And David Julian's score is really good. And also one more thing, did anyone catch that the ending score is kind of similar to the Saw theme?
It kind of is. I can see that.
Cause I was like, did Saw just rip off this movie?
The power of temp music, baby.
It's a good movie. It's crazy that Guy Pearce and Nolan haven't really worked together since. So.
Oh, I know it. That's kind of shocking, actually.
Yeah. I know for the longest time, Warner Brothers was just weirdly against Guy Pearce for some reason.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I guess it's like Guy Pearce killed somebody's wife or something. I don't I'm joking, but I'm just like, this is a weird thing to be just like, yeah, we don't want you to work with that guy.
I mean, Brandon, you kind of mentioned the ambiguous ending. I mean, I do want to ask you guys. I mean, we're going to talk spoilers from the year 2000. At the end of the film, as he's driving away, we briefly see that vision that he has where his wife is lying there with him, and he has the blank spot on his chest where he suggested like maybe that's where he's going to tattoo that he killed the man that killed his wife. And we see the tattoo that says, I did it, or something along those lines, and his wife is there with him. Any thoughts on what that means?
I was paying attention to the John G. He's like, you'll be my John G. And then he writes down the license plate to be I didn't notice the I did it tattoo.
It's very brief.
My interpretation is that he is, what's the guy's name he keeps talking about?
Sammy Jenkins?
Sammy Jenkins, yeah.
He's the insurance guy, yeah.
Yeah, my interpretation that he is that guy because of the fact he is deceiving himself. That's the whole twist, is that he's using his own condition to deceive himself and going on, just continue the quest, to kill John G, even though he's already killed several of them. Which is the whole idea of like him being stuck in this town, in this area, just killing John G's, is like a horrifying concept because he's already killed the guy who's guilty of it. Apparently, maybe he's not even guilty. The guy that
Right.
the guy who broke in may have just ran off. We don't know, but because John G is such a common name, he's just, and for a year or two now, it sounds like he's just been roaming around killing people, who are innocent. It's kind of a like scary concept, but yeah, just based on the fact that he is purposely deceiving himself, makes me think he is the guy who accidentally killed his wife. Pretty sure. But that's just a guess, though. I mean, I don't see why Joe Pantoliano would lie to him and try to convince him of that. I just don't really see him being that hateful and spirited. He's sarcastic. He's not hateful, though. Like, that's kind of my take on it. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, Joey Pants essentially provides him with the idea that his wife survived and that he is, in fact, Sammy Jenkins, the story that he tells the Stephen Tobolowsky character. I mean, it's interesting because I have the thought that his wife really did die, like, when their home was invaded. But there's, like, the fear of turning into Sammy Jenkins. And so that's where these like confusing memories come from, and the fact that he's given this information by Joey Pants, who was already manipulating him. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's interesting because I don't know if Nolan has ever given an exact answer to this. Like I did hear an interview once where he said he gave kind of a more straightforward answer, and I think his brother said like, oh, don't give people that because then it gives them, it tells them what it is. So keep it open, which he ended up doing for the film of Inception and things like that. So I tend to think that his wife really was killed. And again, it's sort of a shame. It just, again, falls under the dead wife trope, because it's, but to me, I think it is a more straightforward way of thinking about, like, what the worst thing that could happen to you is losing someone you love. And it's a shame that people sort of, I mean, there really aren't a lot of female characters in this film. It's just really Carrie-Anne Moss, but yeah, but I mean, she also manipulates this guy, so I don't know. I find that part of his storytelling here really interesting, but I'm okay with it in Memento.
I think she should have gotten nominated for Best Supporting Actress, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the others, I guess, too, but like she does a really good job in this movie. More so than The Matrix, and The Matrix is one of my favorite movies, so don't get me wrong. But like The Matrix, they didn't really give her that much to work with in terms of dialogue, and she's amazing in Memento. Like, makes me wonder, like, what else could she have done in The Matrix, to be honest. But yeah, it's...
Or better yet, like, what could she have done if she had a better career, like a more long-standing career? Because she really is good, like both The Matrix and Memento. So
one last thing, we also see another appearance of the Batman logo in this film. It's like I'm pretty sure it's in like a comic book shop. It's at the front of the store, but we also see the Superman logo as well. And yet we also see the WWF logo. So when's that movie coming out?
Julian McMahon. That's how Ben Affleck's going to be in a Nolan movie. He's going to play Julian McMahon in a Nolan movie and it's just called McMahon. Like, it's all going to be shot in IMAX just for no reason whatsoever, just because he can. But yeah, okay. So we're ready for number one?
I guess so. All right. Well, my number one, if you ever spent any time at all seeing what my favorite film is on Letterboxd, for example, my number one is, of course, The Prestige. As I said earlier, it changed how I viewed films in a lot of ways, and it kind of made me appreciate a filmmaker for the first time. It's part of the reason I am even doing this podcast or love film as much as I do now. So definitely my number one. I gave it a lot of praise earlier. Chris, what is your favorite Nolan movie?
Kind of in the similar vein of just like how it affects you. It's my number one is Inception. It just, like I said earlier, it just holds a really just special, heavy place in my heart. Just love that experience every time I watch it.
All right. Kale, what's your favorite?
My number one is The Dark Knight. The movie where all of my love and interest comes together. So everything. Yeah, no, I love The Dark Knight.
All right, Brandon.
Yeah, my number one's The Dark Knight too. Yeah, It almost was two. I almost put Memento as number one, but yeah, Dark Knight. When watching it this time, I tried to like because Heath Ledger is like the force of gravity that just kind of sucks the whole world in when you watch that movie. I tried to like not focus on him and just focus on everything else. And I think honestly, the people who are sort of like who kind of cynically say that Heath Ledger carried the movie, I don't think they're right. I think that if he wasn't in it, if it was like Jared Leto for some reason instead, God forbid, but no. I think we would have also liked Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent and Gary Oldman. I think they would have gotten much more praise, much more focus on that.
Oh,
I
sure.
think I think that forgetting about Heath Ledger becomes like a cop movie too, like Heat almost.
Yes.
There's a lot of good stuff besides Heath Ledger. There's that people forget about. So
I guess I'll give a brief little background on this movie for me. So in 2006, X-Men 3 comes out and Cyclops is killed at the beginning of the film, and it focuses on stuff that I'm not as interested in. I was kind of like, maybe this is that thing that people go through where the thing that they love as kids is something they just loved as kids, and you always have a fondness for it, but it's not the thing that you continue loving as you get older. And then The Dark Knight comes out, and I get more invested into Batman stuff, and I go out and I buy The Long Halloween and things like that, and it totally opens up my interest in Batman. But I think more importantly, it kind of opened up my interest in film, because when The Dark Knight comes out, that's when I eventually discovered Memento, and I discovered Insomnia and The Prestige. And it's interesting to me because I started becoming aware of who Christopher Nolan was watching the behind the scenes footage, the documentary stuff on the DVD of Batman Begins. And I remember thinking, man, we don't see this guy smile ever. Like, he's a very, very serious man. And then you start watching more of his films, and The Dark Knight feels like it's going to be this huge film by late 2007. And then in January, Heath Ledger passes away. And I remember that was just the biggest news on TV all day. And I watched the news all day with the Heath Ledger story. And the film just takes on a different life of its own at that point, because here's this really great young actor who looks great in the trailer for the film, who people viewed as a miscast for whatever homophobic reason or whatever they want to use after Brokeback Mountain.
Oh God.
And it looks like this incredible performance, and then he passes away. And I'm going to say it, I don't know if The Dark Knight makes it to the Oscars with all the nominations it got, or the Oscar for Heath Ledger, without Heath Ledger passing away, sadly. So I definitely think that is part of it. It's like when the Fast and Furious movie was like super gigantic, like rivaling one of the Avengers movies when Paul Walker had passed away. But the big difference here is that Heath Ledger is so incredibly good in this movie. And in terms of talking about like the negatives that people view with this film, something that a lot of people will say is that the Joker outside of this movie has often been portrayed in a very particular way because of Heath Ledger's performance in this, and the way that he's written, and like the scars on the cheeks, like things like that. But his performance is so entertaining that I'll say right now, like I said, like I had The Dark Knight like just a little lower, and then after watching it, it's like, nope, you're up a point. I moved it up on the list, and part of it is I just think like the whole atmosphere of the world is so addicting in a way. Like, I'm not someone that views films and like wants to live in the world or anything like that, but I just love watching this Batman world that Chris Nolan and his brother and David Goyer essentially kind of set up writing wise. And then again, the cinematography of Wally Pfister and the performances of everyone in all three films I really like. And as you alluded to, Brandon, I think Aaron Eckhart is a bit underrated in this film. I think he's really great as the Harvey Dent that you really root for. I think the film does a great job at making you forget that he's destined to become Two-Face, because I'm rooting for Harvey Dent to fight crime and get the bad guys. So when it starts to happen, you kind of go, oh, right, he becomes Two-Face. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing that the film does, is it makes you forget about the fate of this character because it makes you root for him. And I feel really bad for Harvey Dent in the film. Like, even when he's threatening to kill a child and things like that, you kind of look at him and you just go like, man, like how far he's fallen is so terrible to see. But, you know, the sacrifices that Gordon Batman go through, you know, the death of Rachel in the film is kind of shocking in hindsight. Like you're not going to see in these films, like you're not going to see, well, I was gonna say you're not gonna see like the Green Goblin kill MJ in the film, but I guess the Green Goblin killed Gwen in a different film. And even though, you know, the acting in that scene is all very good or what have you, it doesn't hold the weight to me that killing off Rachel does halfway through The Dark Knight. And I think that would be a little more meaningful to people if it was the same actress from Batman Begins, because it does feel like we introduced a character into the film and she's killed off halfway through when the actress has changed. Because I don't ever see anyone talk about Rachel's death in terms of being one of the big points in the film. And I think that's part of why. Like, I think if MJ was killed halfway through Spider-Man 2, like, you would feel a certain way about it. I mean, I'm just using a similar type of very good superhero film as an example. But yeah, someone else take this off me real quick before I gush it some more.
Chris.
Wow, I don't know where to jump on with that. No, it's so good. Kind of what Kale alluded to earlier. It's like it's the perfect amalgamation to get like everyone on board with this movie. You get like every kind of audience member. Like this movie really kickstarted Nolan's just heavy. I don't know if this is the right term, but just like a blank check campaign, basically. Um, yeah, this is he started working with IMAX with this movie, and like it's an amazing comic book movie. It's a great action movie, and it's like from this point on, it's like this is where you really start to recognize Nolan as a filmmaker, and yeah, it's just solid all around. All of the character dynamics are great. The character of Gotham in this movie. Like you said, it's just so fun to watch. You get to that fairy sequence at the end, and everyone's losing their mind, and like it's such a great point in the film, and it's built up in such a really satisfying way. And I don't know what else to really say. Like it just holds up extremely well.
Yeah, that's like one example of like a great moment in the movie, the fairy scene. There's like 6 of those throughout the whole movie. Like it's,
Oh yeah.
rather it be the prologue, rather it be, the pencil trick, rather it be, when Joker has a knife to Rachel's, face. It's like all of that stuff works so well. And I mean, we've given, I think, there's not any more I can say add on to Heath Ledger's performance. So I'll talk about like everyone else, but I genuinely love every other performance in this movie, like just as well. I think everyone brings something to the table, and this is like why. And I love movies. Like this is not just me being a Batman fan, being like, yeah, of course I'm going to pick my favorite Batman as my favorite Nolan, but no, this is a movie where like everyone brought something to the table. The actors, the cat, like, and I just kind of love it. Like even when like people who don't have like many lines or scenes, like the guy that goes on TV to almost like spill the beans on Bruce Wayne, like even that guy's great. Like that, like all of everything just like builds and everything works so well. Like it's a perfect script. It's a perfect movie of just like, you just watch it and go and go. And I know a lot of people were at the time complaining about like the runtime of it. And I'm like, no, it moves so effectively well. Like it's so suspensefully well done. Everything, the action is, I think, some of Nolan's best as a director. I think, and also this is really where you see Nolan finally become Nolan, because or at least the Nolan we come to know him today, because he starts working with IMAX. He starts, like he becomes a blockbuster filmmaker. Like we're never for better or worse, I don't think we're ever going back until maybe his twilight years, to the prestige guy. We're never going to go this. We're never going to have another Insomnia where he's going to do a mid-range budget. If he does, it's going to be like Oppenheimer, where it's still going to be like 9-figure budget. So
You change things forever.
He did. I mean, and the thing about like both Batman Begins and Dark Knight that we haven't really spoken of is like how each of them have influenced other franchises. I mean,
oh yeah,
Batman Begins is Casino Royale is basically Batman Begins but for James Bond, and then Skyfall is basically the Dark Knight and then Spectre is the Dark Knight Rises. So
sure.
But yeah, it's like, but like each move, but like Nolan, it's insane they never got him to do a Bond movie, but it's crazy like how his movies have influenced them so much. So in other franchises as well. I mean, there's even a dark and gritty Spider-Man movie. Like who thought to make Spider-Man dark and gritty?
Only Sony.
Yeah. So no, I like, to me, Batman Begins and Dark Knight, like they just have such an impact on the culture, and on top of just being great films. So I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's not just because I'm a Batman fan. It's because like this is a great film. Like this is one for the books forever.
Exactly. And something I want to bring up is just my theater experience seeing this for the first time. I remember like my audience applauded like the magic trick that the Joker does. Like everyone found that just so funny and just applauded it. Like it's moments like that where I know I'll probably never really experience again, because the way we react to movies, it's been turned into like a little bit more of an internet trend or a meme or what have you. Everyone cheering during Avengers Endgame. Like it does not compare to just like this raw audience during The Dark Knight loving that film. And I remember everyone applauding when that guy on the boat, like they chose to murder and steal that guy. Like when he puts down the device to blow up the other boat, I remember everyone applauding that moment because he does the right thing. Then the credits roll, everyone applauds Heath Ledger's name, and then applauds the credit to him and the stunt person that also passed away during the production of the film. So I'll never forget my initial viewing of The Dark Knight, and it probably ranks at the very top of my cinema experiences. So yeah, I adore the anticipation that I had for The Dark Knight, watching every single trailer, because there were so many for some reason, and that were only slightly different from each other. And here we are today, and we are doing this podcast, and I'm interested in film and Batman and comics and things like that, and this movie is a big part of that. So it holds very high regard for me. So I think it is a very worthy number one.
Yeah, and I will also add, just to add my theater experience too. My theater experience was foreshadowing because I had to sit in the front row. And this was a massive theater where I went to see it at, like a massive theater hall or auditorium. And I was having to sit like what would be in the C section of like this movie theater. And having to look up the whole time, but like still loving every minute of the movie. So now, like every time I have to sit in the front row of IMAX 70 because people bought like tickets like from day one. I know Brandon, you and I didn't have this experience on Odyssey, but like I still like but now if I go and see the Odyssey or Oppenheimer, I have to sit close to the front row and go to like a really weird time. So like this is where the phenomenon just started. Like everyone just wanted to see this movie, and so much so that if you show up like 20-30 minutes before, you're going to just get a front row seat. Like it's just foreshadowing like the future. So yeah.
The week I saw it was very strange. It's a very strange memory. My family and I were on vacation at Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And so my mom and brother went to go to the movies. I saw Dark Knight. They saw Wall-E. A bunch of old ladies in front of us were buying tickets for Mamma Mia. It was the 3 movies that weekend. It was Dark Knight, Wall-E, Mamma Mia. I see it. It's wonderful. I got stung by a jellyfish on that trip. So it was like I'm having to recover, but I'm just still thinking about The Dark Knight. I'm just so happy I saw this movie. I can't wait to see it again. It was such a good movie. I didn't care I was stung by a jellyfish on my ankle. And also, there's a small detail too. There was like a Domino's pizza they just loaded with pepperonis, and it was called the Dark Knight Pizza. Do you guys remember this? It was like it was a humorous amount of pepperoni on this pizza. It was just this weird plug-in for Dark Knight.
I don't know if I remember that actually.
No, but they should bring it back because I love like triple pepperoni. I love a lot of pepperoni on a pizza. So yeah.
Last comment I'll make about Dark Knight, and this is funny because in high school, remember we all talked about that first year of high school. So we were all in ninth grade, that class. And then over the next several years, we kept meeting people who didn't understand the ending. And some of us were like, how do you not understand the ending? So it just lays it right out for you. It's like, what I mean by that is they understand like the hero we need him to be. Like when Gary Oldman says that, like he's not the hero he's not the hero we want. He's the hero that we need in this time. Or I don't know. Like it's a great scene at the end. But some folks didn't understand what he meant by that, and I'm like, really? It was like you guys don't understand that. I was like 13 when I saw. I was 14 when I saw it, and I'm like, anyway, yeah, that was kind of shocked me. But yeah,
I mean, I understand a little bit of like some of the criticism of the ending, just because you just saw like Batman just saw like two ships not blow each other up. And now he's like now he's telling Commissioner Gordon, we have to lie to protect society. Because no one can, and I'm like, so I see a little bit of the criticism, but I love that it becomes table setting for the third movie.
Well, yeah, they're covering up Harvey Dent, though, what he did. Yeah, not the ships, but the trail of body, the dead bodies.
Well, I'm saying that that's what they're doing. Like, they're, like, why not just be open about, like, yeah, Harvey Dent just is a complete, like, he went crazy and, but that's what becomes the table setting for movie 3. So, like, and they address it. And I think that's one of the best aspects of movie 3 is that, you can't create a peaceful society with a lie. Like eventually the history will prevail. So, yeah. Anyway, that's quick. That was my quick thought on that. But yeah. Anyway.
Oh, we have to mention this before we head out. Kale, we edited a Trump parody with this trailer, the Dark Knight trailer. You remember this?
I think you did.
This is that's right. Yeah, we brainstormed on it that one day and we edited it. Yes, I can't remember where that's at.
Yes. Okay, I remember.
This was like 2015. Yeah, we took Trump's speech and put in 2015 and swapped him out for the Joker, and it was like, so they're watching the TV a lot in this movie, and like they're watching Trump just say a bunch of crazy shit, and it was really funny until he won. It wasn't funny. Then it wasn't funny anymore. It was kind of ruined it. But
well, it's just like you can't. It's just like it's reality. Like the parodies become reality. So yeah. Anyway,
Chris, any final words on The Dark Knight?
No, I don't think so. I think we've said everything we could about this. It's so good.
All right. I guess real quick before we wrap up, do you guys want to run down our full list from bottom to top real quick? I've got mine pulled up. My number 13 is Tenet. My number 12 is Insomnia. My number 11 is Following. 10 is The Dark Knight Rises. 9 is Dunkirk. 8 is Interstellar. 7 is The Odyssey. 6 is Oppenheimer. 5 is Memento. 4 is The Dark Knight. 3 is Inception. Number 2 is Batman Begins. And my number 1 is The Prestige.
Mic drop. Chris.
All right. My 13 is Following, 12 is Insomnia, 11 is The Dark Knight Rises, 10 is Tenet, 9 is Interstellar, 8 is Dunkirk, 7 is The Dark Knight, 6 is The Odyssey, 5 is Batman Begins, 4 is Memento, 3 is Oppenheimer, 2 is The Prestige, and 1 is Inception.
So my number 13 is Dark Knight Rises, number 12 is Insomnia, 11 is Prestige, 10 is Memento, 9 is Following, 8 is Tenet, 7 is Batman Begins, 6 is Interstellar, 5 is Dunkirk, 4 is Inception, 3 is The Odyssey, 2 is Oppenheimer, and number 1 is The Dark Knight.
And my beautiful list of horror movies is...
It's big and beautiful. It's bold.
13 is Inception, 12 is Tenet, 11 is The Dark Knight Rises, 10 is Interstellar, 9 is Oppenheimer, 8 is Dunkirk, 7 is Following, 6 is The Prestige, 5 is Insomnia, 4 is Batman Begins, 3 is The Odyssey, 2 is Memento, and 1 is The Dark Knight.
Very nice. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening to this very long discussion, the length of a Christopher Nolan movie. Kale, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Movie Kale. You can also follow me on Instagram at kale.smith.90. This is where you can get all the information on not only, I normally say this show, meaning my show, but you can get all the information on my show, the Youth Critic Podcast, and then I do the other show From the Top, which is where we review filmmakers' retrospectives. I think all of you have been on the show at some point, From the Top.
I'm pretty sure.
Or at the very least, the Youth Critic side. So please check it out. And also check out these guys, the Brothers Discuss. Just check them out.
They're already here.
Especially their review of
They
The
found
Odyssey. I know, but stay tuned for The Odyssey whenever The Odyssey drops. I'm giving you a glowing recommendation.
Much obliged. Thank you. Brandon, do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, it's the YouTube channel that I started. It's called Blood and Treasure, diplomatic military history. Basically boring topics made entertaining through editing, some jokes thrown in, fast-paced editing, But I just don't have time to do it, so there's only 2 videos on there.
Well, I just found it, and I just subscribed to it.
Awesome. You'll be probably my first subscriber, probably. I don't know, second subscriber. I don't know.
I'm number 3.
Awesome. Ooh, yeah. 3. Yeah. There you
go. All right. Well, yes. So I guess I should plug my own stuff now, I suppose. I'm on Letterboxd. I'm on Blue Sky. And you can also find my editing work on the amazing Spider Talk podcast, where we talk all things Spider-Man, all the live long day. Chris, do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, you can find me over on Letterboxd as well, and also over on Instagram.
Excellent. And like I said earlier, our next normal episode will be, just normal episode, but we do promise the Odyssey will be the main event that we discuss. So look forward to that. In the meantime, we will see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Bum, bum, bum.